What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. It's August 28th today, and me and Tuck want to bring you along for a backyard garden tour. The only thing is, there's a few things that, I guess they're a little upsetting, but we'll get into that more as the video progresses. Let's go! Before I show you some of the issues that I'm having in the food forest, I want to show you some of the great things that are going on. Look at this tomato. This thing is insane. I've shown you the height of it before, but I actually got to get a tape measure out and a ladder to show you, it's just crazy. So I'm going to get up here on this ladder. We'll take this tape measure, drop it all the way down to the bottom to get the actual height of this thing. So tape measure's touching down there. As I trail all the way up, this thing is over 11 feet already. It's so cool. And even though this is really cool and it looks cool, it's definitely not convenient. I mean, who wants to climb a ladder to get your tomatoes? One thing about it that I love is that it's saving so much space, because if we trail up 12 feet, just think about how much vine that would be if it was sprawled all over the ground. So we are getting a lot of extra space by growing it really tall, but this isn't the ideal way to do it. In this pallet raised bed, this is, I think, the best way to do it, which I'm going to show you right here. But before I show you, I want to take you back to the oranges. These are the trifoliate oranges. These things are getting pretty large, and I'm in New Jersey growing oranges. This isn't like the typical orange, but it's just the fact that you can do it. It's so fun for me. So oranges right here. Let me show you. Nice, the best set of them we've ever had. Look at this, back here. Bam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 just hidden. Oh, more down here. Oh my gosh, look at this little cluster. You gotta watch out though, because these things are super spiky. So that is really cool. We'll make some orange juice or some orangeade or something with this thing, because you can't necessarily eat these fresh. That's not the kind of orange they are. But it's really cool to have apples and oranges in the same garden and, almost growing right next to each other. This is how I think we should be growing our really tall tomatoes. Notice this thing's growing all the way to the top, you'll see. And look at how full the sets are. And as we trail down, you'll notice how this is bent at the bottom. That's because I did something called lowering and leaning. I lowered this vine to get that bend in it, so that I can get easier access to the fruit. So as we look through here, this thing is just absolutely loaded, this bed. And this is a better way to do it, in my opinion, because it's more accessible, more convenient, and just easier overall to do. I've got so many other things to show you, and not everything, like I said, has worked perfect. So I'm gonna, show some of the things that, well, they didn't go perfect. So let's go. There are some things though that went even better than I could have imagined, and the apples are one of them. This Honeycrisp apple has just done incredibly well as some of the Williams Pride apples that I have too. I mean, look how much fruit this has, and it has actually dropped a good amount of fruit that I've been snacking on, because it's been relatively windy lately. Look at under here. These just fell the other day. Look how big these apples are. Look at the size of that. This is Honeycrisp, nice and ripe. I mean, whew, you don't get much better than this, in my opinion, when you grow them in the backyard. So even though I have some big issues that I'm gonna get into, this, kind of sweetens it up a little bit and makes it easier to take, I think. Let's check out these beds next to us though, that we're starting to convert. The seasons are changing, so with the change of the season, we got to change the face of the forest. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're switching from some of the summer stuff to our brassicas and things, which are doing pretty well, but we're still holding on to some of the summer, like these peppers right here. So half the bed is going towards fall, half is still focused on summer. These peppers are looking massive, looking really good. I can't wait to start eating them. We've got some ripe ones back here, it looks like. The sweet apple pepper. It's the first time I'm growing that, so I can't tell you how good it's gonna be until I really taste it. It looks like the boss wants a snack of pepper, so maybe this guy could try the first sweet apple. What do you think, boy, huh? Pretty good? This guy got a fresh haircut, so throw some hearts down in the comments if you love seeing him. He's 11, but I'll tell you, in my opinion, this guy doesn't look a year over 2. Right, boy? He's so good. So let me just grab this pepper and see if he wants one. We'll just twist it right off. Ooh, look at the color on that one, boy. Not too bad, huh? I don't think he knows how to get into it. Let me bite it for him. Ooh. We'll let him play with that, but I actually want to try this one. I've never had this. Good flavor. Not as good as the Jimmy Nardello one, in my opinion. More mild, but still pretty good. I don't know if he's gonna eat it, but he's at least gonna probably find a place to bury it. So we'll let him go work. The cucumbers over here are doing real nice too. Happy with the production, especially even this late into the season. And we've got more cucumbers in other sections, so just really nice. Prigioni apple. This is one of the things I've definitely made a bit of a mistake on. I should have thinned this a little more, but there's so many apples, so sometimes it's a bit a bit hard to thin. Overall though, I think it'll do real well. I think we'll get a good harvest from it, but this is definitely a late producer when it comes to apples. That's what's great about gardening though. You gotta have those early, mid, and late producers. Now let me show you a section that's doing the best probably it ever has. And these Niagara grapes they're ripe. They're ready to be taken. And look how many there are. So I'm just about to grab some, not today, but soon I'm gonna be grabbing them. There's gonna be an epic harvest. So this is one thing that I'm definitely grateful as you just trail through and see how many we have on here. Well, it looks like the boss has been busy and it looks like he's burying his pepper. So he's planting a pepper for next year. He probably didn't want it right now, but we'll make sure we eat some for next year. And right next to him here, you'll notice the Chajuro Pair. It drops some of its pears with the strong winds. So this is the Butterscotch pear. These things taste so good and they've got that coloration on them. Look at that. Woo! That's that coloration we want when it's ripe. So we'll just taste this real quick. We have a lot more fruit on there. Even though I did thin pretty well, I'm still not really happy with the size of the pears. And I actually think something that's starting to come back to the fact that it's getting a good amount of shade because these hazelnuts have just gotten so large. And they've actually become, they're where some of my issues are. So let's get into that after we taste this. Jajiro Butterscotch pear. This is an Asian pear, not like your typical European. That's why it almost looks like an apple. And they're better, in my opinion, than the European pears. Let's taste it. Doesn't taste like any other pear or any other Asian pear. So sweet. That's why they call it the butterscotch. So now let's get into something that, well, I'm upset over because, well, for a few reasons. One is because I've talked it up so much this year. So it's like I'm almost embarrassed in a way, even though I feel like there's not that much I could have done about it, but these hazelnuts were absolutely loaded with fruit. I've showed you guys so many times. I mean, we're talking buckets and buckets of nuts. So I had a high level of confidence thinking that I was gonna get a good harvest from them, but that's just not how things turned out. The squirrels really just went absolutely crazy on them. And one of the things that's been kind of like upsetting and painful about it is that the hazelnuts have grown so well and they produced so well. And I got a lot of nuts. As you'll see here, there's still even some nuts on the ground. So basically, I watched the nut tree grow well. I watched it flower well. I watched it, produce well. I saw all the nuts loaded on it. I saw them ripening. So I was so close to getting that harvest. So it just stinks to see the squirrels take all of them. I just couldn't do anything about it. The hard part was watching them because every day they were coming out here stealing them, and it was like, what can I do? I couldn't cover the whole tree. It got so big. So I'm kind of calling out to some of you to give me some suggestions because I don't want to trap and injure the squirrels. I know they're a part of the forest, but I've got to find a better way to balance them and deter them from stealing all my nuts. I can't complain too much though because I've got so many other things. Right, Risty? So we're just going to be thankful for the things we do have, try to learn from this lesson, and then just try to grow essentially. And we're just thankful for this opportunity. Overall though, it is a bit upsetting and it is a bit demoralizing. We're gonna keep moving though, and we're gonna try to focus on some of the lessons that we've learned in the past and try to take something like this. And one of my favorite sayings is that every failure brings within it the seed of an equivalent success. So we're gonna hope that there's a seed of success hidden in this failure, and we're gonna try to strive for it. Let's pop into the young food forest and check out how things are growing in here. We've got the keyhole raised bed. It's doing okay, not as well as it was doing because it's starting to transition over to fall, so the stuff is slowing down a little bit. But notice in the back here, look at this starting to take over as some things are slowing down. This is the sweet potato. So we've got some sweet potato planted back here, starting to really come through as things are slowing. But let me take you to this Birdie's raised bed where we've got an incredible level of production this year. Right now it's, Tuck's just going back there like a crazy guy. But right now it's thick with cucumbers. Look at this, big cucumbers in here. Another white one here. But notice in here, look, I started to plant some cabbages that are slowly growing in the shade of the cucumbers and stuff. So as these cucumbers start to finish, I'll just cut them out and the cabbages will already be in there waiting to take over the location. But right now they can't take over the location because the Black King eggplant is just reigning supreme in here. Thing's a monster. So it's got small eggplants, soon they'll be massive, and we'll be eating those because they're so good. I've got a lot of different eggplants I have planted. I want to show you too the sunflowers right here. I talked about how this sunflower was gonna watch over the garden, and it's done its job. It's just, it's time to produce seed and slow down a little bit. That stinks because we love having sunflowers in the garden because we love seeing them. So what we did was we just staggered another sunflower behind us. Here is the sunflower that I wanted to show you that's taking over. It just opened up its first head, so this is just starting. And the other ones are gonna produce as well. So this is the replacement sunflower. This way we always have that beauty watching over the garden. We love to see it. And then here, you'll notice it's a bit windy today. Here we have the tomatoes that I just planted and let sprawl some of them right directly into the ground. They're doing real well. Look at this side. Come over here. The soldaki. Ooh, that thing, that'll make you smile. Look at the level of production on that. And then look at this down here. I'm growing the Cherokee purple. Splitting a little bit, getting good coloration, and look at all the fruit on it. Insane. This is what happens when you sprawl. And I like sprawling some of my varieties if they're disease resistant and if I'm growing on wood chips, because the wood chips prevent some of the soil-borne organisms and bacteria from getting into your plants. If you just do it on the dirt and let it sprawl, then you're gonna just invite a lot of, you know, bad bacteria and fungus and stuff right to your plant. On the other side, this one's staked up a little better. Look at that, fruit sets. So we're gonna have a lot of tomatoes. And watch me peel this back here. Oh, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And our late fruit, just like the Asians, we've got the American pears. This one's doing okay. The tree's not doing fantastic. Nothing to write home about, but I still think it's gonna have a decent production on it. On the other hand, this one's something to brag about. Look at this thing. I love to see it 4 years in. The Suli, great production. I'm really happy with this one. Notice how less diseased the leaves are and everything. Just overall, a much healthier looking tree. So I really like this. Trail to the left and look at the growth on the blueberries this year. Even though they had good production, they had an incredible level of growth. So come winter, what we're going to do is prune out some of the old growth in these blueberries, allowing the new growth to take over. That's the stuff that's gonna really produce a lot of fruit for us. So we'll move over here. Time for some monster tomatoes. A little sun scald on the top ones, but look at this thing. Ooh, this is the pineapple bicolor. Man, look at that. I think this one is. Yeah, look at that, nice coloration. I've got another one in a different section, and we're just waiting on these Hungarian hearts. Ooh, look at that. Holy, this thing's gonna be a heavy tomato. I can tell just by the weight. I love to see it. Let's go check out another monster tomato right here. Here's the mushroom baskets. Ooh, sprawled on the ground too. Man, look at those. These are heavy. Oh, I love to see it. And then as we trail up, look at all these, looking real nice. Check out this other pineapple bicolor I was talking about, right here. This one's almost ripe. Look at that. Ooh, I like that coloration on the bottom. I haven't tasted them yet, but overall, pretty cool looking tomatoes. I just love tomatoes so much. Like, this is Jersey. Jersey, if you guys don't know, we're known for Jersey tomatoes and blueberries. So you notice I have a lot of those in my garden. It only makes sense to put some time into those, because when things happen, like, you know, it's not always gonna work perfect. Sometimes, I heard it saying, sometimes it's gonna hail on your crop, sometimes it's gonna rain on your parade, and that's just reality. So we don't wanna be naive about that. So we know that's gonna happen for some things, like the hazelnuts this year. We just want to make sure we have other things to replace that. Like, it was a terrible year for the hazelnuts, but an incredible year for the apples. So there's always something kind of to replace what doesn't do well, which is exciting and fun. Let me show you these eggplants. Look at these babies. The pink tongue, I love this one. An incredibly productive Asian eggplant, really nice. Some little peppers over here. And then the beauty on this eggplant is crazy. Look at these. Oh my gosh. I've showed it before next to the dragon tongue beans because the patterns are the same, but man, that's like literally out of a magazine. I love to see it. And it tastes good. Check out these eggplants too. You're noticing we're like nearing more towards fall when our eggplants and our peppers take over. Some peppers. Look at these eggplants in the back. And look at this one too. I think this is the Rosita. No, the Rosa Bianca. Oh my gosh. Like, these are so much cooler than the Black King in my opinion, because the color is just so beautiful. I want to show you right here too. Look at this rosemary. You'll notice I have, like, maybe I don't show it a lot, but I have herbs scattered throughout the garden in locations that make sense. So this rosemary is in the middle of this bed because I grow a lot of brassicas here. Rosemary is a great companion for the brassicas, so it makes sense to put it next to the brassicas. They grow well. As we look to the right here, I have a lot of flowers and stuff still in this section because there's nothing better than having some flowers. And I'll show you a clip. The butterflies have really been coming onto the flowers and the monarchs, so it's really cool to see them out here and just you know, provide a little food for them. We both get a lot out of it. So let me bring you to this section over here where we have another beautiful apple. This is the Belmak. This thing won't be ready till like later in the season, probably like October time, but I did have one apple that kind of rotted a little and fell to the ground. So I just want to try it and see. I know it's not ready yet, but I just want to get an idea of what the flavor could be. Sorry if the wind is getting a little strong. It's just, yeah, you can't fight the weather. Let's try it. Not perfectly ripe. More of like a Macintoshy almost kind of flavor in my opinion. Different than the Williams Pride. Does not have the texture of the Honeycrisp, but overall a pretty good apple. I'm sure they'll be better when they're ripe, but still pretty happy with the flavor. We'll put that down there for now. And then the ground cherries I showed you, there's honestly too many to eat right now. It's just crazy, but they are really good. So this is something you can just put into your garden if you want something productive, quick, easy, fruiting annual. So over here, you'll notice I ripped out all the peas. I meant all the cucumbers, and now we have peas all coming up. You'll see the little heads on the peas, the shoots. And then we're covering it with the insect netting because the birds love stealing the tops of our peas and snacking on those. So we make sure to keep that covered. And I'll usually tie it to the top, but in this section it's kind of hard. Let me show you over here where we have more peas that are coming up. And I'm caught in a pickle trying to tie it to the top because you'll notice we have the Einstein grapes right above us. I don't want to rot those out too bad because the flavor on these grapes are so good. This is definitely like a less productive variety than the American ones I have, like the Concord and the Niagara and the Catawba, but it's good to have some of these, I think, because just the flavor is so good. They're really good. Let me just try one. Seedless, a very grapey flavor, not like foxy like some of them are. It's sweet. Definitely a better fresh eating grape than the Niagaras or the Concords in my opinion. Good flavor though. We want to keep them away from Tuck. He can't eat these. Then to the left of us here is an apple that's doing relatively well too. This is the Bella, I believe, and this is the trademark one for a rain tree. I'm pretty sure they're the only one that has this variety. So it's supposed to be a really late producer. We're talking like late October. So this one will help extend our season. It's always good to have apples like that just to, you know, give you a longer harvest period. Then we can trail up on this one too. Here's the cherry bomb, another tomato that decided it wants to try to grow as, you know, maybe to the clouds. I don't even have stakes long enough. I've talked about making sure your stakes are like 10 foot tall because if you've never grown tomatoes like this, you'll just be blown away on how big they actually get. I mean, it's like, I feel like I did that video about Willy Wonka. I honestly feel like that sometimes. I mean, I'm walking around here grabbing tomatoes from, you know, 12-foot tomato plants. I'm not going like this, I'm going like this half the time. Gotta get tomatoes from here, apples. So being out here has just, it's been a really great experience. And even though I didn't get everything I wanted, like from the hazelnuts, that's not always what it's about, because it's not just about what you get. I think there's also about what you become. So I may not have got a lot from that hazelnuts, but through the process of learning and growing this garden, I think I've become a better gardener, which in the long run is gonna allow me to get bigger harvests in the end. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. This video was like a little different, how, you know, I showed you some of my issues. I showed you the other side of the coin because that's always there. There's always this level of dualism where, you know, some things go perfect, but then some things don't. For everything we get, we've got to give something. And I think that's a part of nature too. So it's never going to all work perfectly. One thing that's encouraging for me is it seems like every year I have less issues because I've learned from the issues in the past. And then all that knowledge and that I've gained from all those issues, I try to take that from like 7, 8, 9 years. I take all of it, I assess it, and I try to invest what I've learned into the next year. And I think that makes a considerable difference. I think you guys should try to do the same thing. It makes gardening more fun too, because when you're out there and you feel confident, then it's just more enjoyable. So I wanted to thank Joe Wheeler for your channel subscription. Thanks for being a part of Team Grow, Joe. It's cool of you to join, and me and Tuck just wanted to send out a thank you to you, so we appreciate it. We also want to thank everyone who's giving the super thanks in the channel. That's just, it's incredible to know that you guys are just willing to give for me and Tuck out here just playing and having fun in the garden. So I wanted to thank you for that too. We also want to say to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to check out the merch down low. And remember, whenever you're on Amazon, start your shopping with our Amazon affiliate link. Tuck, look at him. Hanging out next to the herbs right there. Next to the thyme. Just in time, boy. And James Prigioni, we'll be back at you again real soon. We out.